a nutshell, what's being decided is the city of Kingston is trying to create new electoral districts, the first time since amalgamation of the city in 1998. And that's to better reflect the growing population within the city. So what happened was there's been a process going on since November of what the realignment of the districts is going to look like. So April 9th, there was a city council meeting to create the new electoral districts. However, at that council meeting, staff presented their preferred option, which includes students within the makeup of the population. By a vote of 7-6, council decided not to go for the preferred option, not to go with the alternate option, which also took into account students, but to go with one of the original options presented back in November that does not include a student population at all. By combining or amalgamating essentially Williamsville and Sydenham district, you're going to have on paper a population of around 10,000 and change. But in actuality, there's going to be another, 7,000 to 8,000 students that are going to be part of that district that aren't taken into account. So you're going to have one city councillor effectively servicing close to 18,000 people, as opposed to one city councillor in the West End that's servicing between 9,000 and 12,000 people. So is that effective representation at the end of the day? I don't think so.
Well, personally, I think that City Council made a huge mistake in not affirming what the staff's clear recommendation was.
Because there's a lot of things at the municipal level that affect them. Public transportation, the one garbage bag issue, getting a noise exemption for a Frost Week concert on campus. All those things require deep involvement and commitment by by City Council, and so that's why it's extremely important.
And that's something that you would expect the GOP to do in southern states.
The argument that some of the councillors are presenting that students don't vote and then shouldn't be represented as a result is totally hogwash, and it's not something that anybody should buy into. It's not about us voting or not voting. I mean, many people decide not to vote, and that's a legitimate political action on their part, but it's about representing all their constituents.
Military families, for the most part, come to Kingston for 3 or 4 years. Many of them choose not to vote, which is their democratic right. Would anybody on council dare to say, let's not count military families because they don't count? I mean, that would be an absurd injustice. And it's just as much an injustice when we treat students that way. The other side keeps saying, well, that's the way it's done right across Ontario, which isn't actually the case. Both Windsor and Guelph factor in, when they do the boundaries, student population. My colleague Bill Glover nailed it. It's gerrymandering. The reality is, thanks in part to students, but we usually elect more progressive councillors in the core of the city, and there's more conservative councillors elected in the suburbs. That often happens. And that's fine, that's how democracy works. But this is taking away one of those voices from the core of the city and increasing by one vote and one voice in the suburbs. We're a university town, and people are proud both of the progressive nature over the years of Kingston politics, but also they're proud of the roots that Queens has in the community. The first time I was elected was 1991, but I was running right after there had been a student on City Council. So the reality is that Queens has had representation on City Council. Somehow, between then and now, we've just no longer seemed to care about whether students get on the voters list or not. I mean, we're trying to keep Queens graduates, and that's one of our goals, is through our economic development, is to entice Queens students into staying, and then we turn around and kind of give them a slap in the face and say, you don't count when it comes to municipal representation. You know, I came to Kingston for 1 year of Teachers College in 1976, and here I am. The mayor clearly said in an untelevised council meeting, he turned to the AMS president and he said, and I've checked the voters list, and none of the current AMS executive even voted. That was dead wrong. It's against procedure to call out somebody in the gallery because they can't defend themselves. And at least 2 people on the executive have come up to me and said, I know I voted. I remember going to the Memorial Center to vote. I remember voting for you, they said. Afterwards, he said, yes, he had lied, that he hadn't ever checked the voters list. I just hope they remember those councillors that chose to discount students. And one of those council members was the mayor. The silver lining to all of this is it may be the first time in recent memory where, on a very, very critical issue, the neighborhood associations and Queen's students are standing together on the same side for justice.
Queen's students should never feel like they're not part of the community. They are an intricate part of the community. They're an important pillar of Kingston society, and I think that we will work diligently, day in, day out, to make sure that we're fulfilling our mandate to best represent the diversity of our student body to City Council, and we look forward to doing that.